Well, hello and welcome back to another video, the F122 Driver Career with McLaren, episode number 61 today for the British Grand Prix of Season 4, round number 7. If you missed the previous episode uploaded last week at Canada, I recommend you go and check that one out before seeing this one, because we did make contact with our teammate Oscar Piastri in that one, which is why he's 31 points behind now. As well, Sainz a little closing in, solidifying second place. R&D wise for us, more durability, it's the only thing we got left there, as well as we're going to have a wet race as well, so that's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very wet race as well. It's got the full wet icon, so R&D wise, those updates, that the only movement in our line now are those factory upgrades from Porsche that are coming. You can see there that they've also applied to Williams as well at the bottom. AlphaTauri though have jumped both Alfa Romeo and Haas. That's interesting. Obviously there's a big battle between AlphaTauri, Haas, and I can't remember who else, that's Williams, excuse me, yes, that have scored points this season at the bottom for that 6th place, so it's sort of a bit of a snatch and grab, depending on, you know, if the top 5 teams have a particular, one of them has a retirement, and there's a chance some points on offer. As we move to qualifying, and it's gone usually well, because we've got DRS failure. As well, we were improving on that second lap, but no matter, we have got it back now at the end of this session as the Alfa Romeo moves out the way through turn 1. As I say, Silverstone on this year's game is so much better on recent years. This is one improvement they have made, is that tracks like Silverstone feel so much better to race on than they have done in previous years, because Silverstone used to be a terrible track to race on for the player, and now it's one of the best tracks on the game for the player. It's so enjoyable, you know, you can chuck the car in left to right through those fast corners. So we set a purple sector 1 actually. I don't think we're going to quite have that overwhelming pace though. Through the middle sector as we come up the old start-finish straight, the AI still have a few areas where they have their OP traction. We go through Cops, a little bit of track extend there, up towards Maggots and Beckett, so I do gain a lot through this section compared to the AI if you get it right. Don't want to take too much curving though, because if you go onto that green bit you get floor damage, so that's just a reminder there. We're 2 and a bit tenths up on Hamilton as well if we come through then into the final sector. A little bit wide there, losing a fraction of the time as we come through this penultimate section as well. We take the curve there, a little bit wide there. That's a mistake. That's a terrible mistake. That's cost us 2/10 of a second, and that would have been P4 I reckon, ahead of Norris, so that's a shame. Alas, it's P7, which, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, the fact that I know the pace is there is promising for the race. Bearing in mind, obviously, wet conditions. I did add a few bit more wing for the rear and the front for the race, so we should have a better setup. So we'll see what we can do in the race. It's time for the British Grand Prix.
We return once again then to the home of British motorsport and the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. Silverstone circuit is 3.6 miles long, has a total of 18 corners, and of course is no stranger to the rain. There won't be any DRS available in these conditions, but the Wellington and Hangar straights are still good opportunities to tuck into the slipstream and make a pass. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, George Russell, Phoenix, Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Vettel, Hamilton, and Esteban Ocon. Magnussen, Gasly, Alex Albon, and Mick Schumacher. Bottas, Joe, Lance Stroll, and Yuki Tsunoda. Schwartzman and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? It's not going to be plain sailing for our drivers today, although with the sky falling as it is, perhaps sailing isn't too far from the truth. Anthony Davidson, could be a wet one today. Great to have you with us. What are your thoughts?
It is a touch damp, isn't it? Well, as a driver, there are three big things to worry about when racing in these kind of conditions: standing water, tyre temperature and visibility. Judging distance to the cars around you is really tricky when you're driving through the vast amounts of spray that these wet weather Pirelli tyres kick up.
I know this is your home Grand Prix, but treat it like any other race. Let's not make any unnecessary risks.
So Max Verstappen has decided to help us out, and he's taken an engine penalty of some sort. So he starts down in P7. It's going to be a no-stop 13 laps. So, yes, 5 lights then to the soggy Grand Prix. And after a bit of a hold, away we go. And as usual in the wet, it's like moving the Titanic through turn 1, unable to do much. We do stay in front of Hamilton, but have lost out to both Vettel and Verstappen in the dart down the inside though, up at turn 2. Very nicely done. That is us back up into P6, as well as they're squabbling ahead between Leclerc and Russell. He's on board with Robert Schwartzman in the Alfa Romeo there, and there's contact with Latifi. So Schwartzman, the Alfa Romeo team, has struggled for points over with the pairing of Schwartzman and Zhou, as we're going to dart down the inside here. Lovely little move on Russell there to get up into P5. Here's a replay there. It's a standard move, especially in the wet as well, because obviously no DRS, but there's no DRS on the start finish straight anyway in the game, nor it might be in real life. They did have it one year, I think, but yes, behind us Max Verstappen has a bit too much spray coming out, and that's because his engine's failed. So it's another miserable campaign for Verstappen. Last year's carry on. Now on board with Magnussen, as Verstappen was retiring, Magnussen ploughs in to the back, or into the front side rather, of Verstappen. He's also at the race. That's going to bring out a safety car to clear up Magnussen's mess that he made. But to be fair, did he actually see Verstappen with all the spray and going on? I don't know. But anyway, we're down to 18 runners. As well, we're still at P5. Now on the safety car restart, the end of lap 4, on to lap 5, and it's a horrible restart. Just getting wheel spin all over the place, and we've lost actually almost a second. But I'm going to jump to lap 10, because at this point we've been slowly catching Leclerc. The rain's starting to ease up, which not necessarily a good thing. But can we turn this to advantage? We're already catching up to Leclerc. He's going a little bit slowly through this penultimate corner. Can we turn it to the inside? He gives us the room. A lovely little move. Up to P4 as well. It seems to be only making moves at those two corners, but round the outside this time. Turn to the inside. Leclerc, to be fair, our old teammate from season 3, did give us the room. We're up to P4 now, and Russell had a good run on Leclerc over the start-finish straight to try to go down the inside, but is unable to make the position. Not sure what's going on with the spray on this replay camera anyway, but Russell stays behind in P6. Unable to catch Norris, so it's P4 again. Piastri is going to win yet another Grand Prix. I mean, when he doesn't make mistakes, he's untouchable on his day, Piastri. But yes, unfortunately for him, he has made some mistakes, which is why we're still in contention. But obviously for P4, in hindsight, if we had not made that mistake for the final couple of corners, I think we could have got definitely a podium, maybe in Challenge Sainz or Piastri. I don't know. The pace now thereabouts. We were also in the 39s, the only top 4 in the 39s, compared to everyone else. So, we had some pace, but whether or not we had the overwhelming pace to be able to catch them, I don't know. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, but I'll take P4. It's not the end of the world. As well, we've still got a 15-point gap for Carlos Sainz and a 17-point gap over Oscar Piastri. So those two, it's not like we got 5 or even 2 or 3 points. 15 points, it's still a comfortable lead. So I'm still happy to have that as the lead for now. Hopefully we can't allow too many results like this. Constructors were doing well. Verstappen didn't do anything. So in our little rivalry, we gained massively, leading 15 to 12 in the rivalry now. As well as we continue at level 18 acclaim. Now our Sashi department had a little update, even though we're fully maxed out on the Sashi department, has been for some time. I don't know what they're on about, but we're going to go down the simulator room just to see what they're on about, because to be fair, as far as I'm concerned, all they're doing is making sure that they're building the Sashi that we need, the Sashis we need for each race, and not actually focusing on any R&D in terms of that. But anyway, yes, that is where I'm going to leave today's episode. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for Austria, because I've recorded Austria. If you, I know today's race was slightly a bit dull because of the full wet and no pit stop. Austria will make up for that. I can tell you now. There will be. Well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. That episode will be out on Thursday. So, yes, if you have enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, of course, and new to the channel. See plenty more F122 driver career mode videos. Until the next video, then, I'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.